Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. Today I am continuing my series of flip through reviews with an eye towards Cairn, second edition player's guide by Yochai Gal. And yeah, this book is it's cool. It's got a really nice construction to it in some regards, so it's pretty sturdy. That said, it is kind of stiff. The spine on it is very, very stiff because it's a perfect bound book. It's got glue for the spine, and the spine glue goes in like a good. Oh, it's like a quarter inch. Get a ruler here and check. Yeah, almost do you have about a quarter inch? Which means that this book does not stay open. You have to hold it open, which is a little annoying. That said, the book, all told, is about 86 pages. It was written by Yochai Gal, editing and development by Derek B., copy editing by Yossi Kraus, layout and design by Adam Hensley, cover art by Bruno Prosecco, backgrounds art by Kenny Widjaja, interior illustrations by Amanda Lee Frank, and wilderness exploration sketch by Adam Hensley. There's a nice little thank you here for the backers, which is really cool. Now, it's worth noting that the text of Cairn 2nd Edition is available on CC, so Creative Commons Attribution License Share Alike. So if you want to produce things that use the Cairn 2nd Edition rule set, you can. You can reproduce the text of this book. You just need to do Share Alike and Creative Commons Attribution License, which is really cool. It's very, very generous of Yochai to give this to the community, so thank you. Well done. So, the overview just goes into some design principles, kind of philosophies of the design of the game. And then you've got your principles for players, which is talking about agency, teamwork, exploration, talking, caution, planning, and ambition. So these are just great things to keep in mind for the game. They're like good goalposts, kind of setting up for how the game should be played. And then we dive right into character creation. Character creation is pretty straightforward. It's a really, really fast process. You roll or choose a background, which is a d20 roll on this table here. Provides the table numbers or the page numbers for where that background is, which is great. Once you get your background, you're going to choose a name from the available list, record the starting items, and then you're going to roll on each of the included tables of the background and record your character's items, skills, or abilities from each result. So each of the table rolls in the backgrounds kind of has a possibility of giving you some interesting stuff. And then you may have to check out the marketplace as well, which is found on page 16. So this is your marketplace tables. And then attributes, hit protection, and traits. So you roll for your character's attributes. It's 3d6 down the line for the 3 attributes, strength, dex, and will. And you can swap any 2 results. It calls out here that the attributes are not universal descriptors. A character with low strength is not necessarily hopelessly weak. They can still attempt to lift a heavy door or survive a deadly fight. Their risk is simply higher, which I think is a really, really interesting way of presenting that. Because it is a roll under system. We'll get to that in a little bit with the rules. And then you roll for the character's traits, and the traits and bonds start, I think, on page 12. So they're bonds are here, and character traits are here. And then you roll the character's age, which is 2d20 plus 10. If you are the youngest character, you roll on the omens table, and the results should be read aloud to the other players. The warden should incorporate the omens into the setting as they see fit. So, that's all really, really cool. I think you can get through this pretty quickly for the most part. Inventory is a little bit clunky. Like, it's fine. It's slot-based inventory. You have 10 slots, 4 kind of personal slots, and then 6 bag slots. You're expected that you're carrying a backpack. It doesn't really make clear how that works. Like, it says you start with a backpack, but it doesn't say if the backpack takes its own slot. I'm assuming it doesn't. And then, yeah, like you can get other stuff to help you carry. But inventory is abstract, which I like. The whole pitch here is that inventory is abstract. But if you fill up all 10 slots, you're reduced to 0 hit points, which means you do not get any hit protection. I guess it's hit protection, not hit points. It's hit protection. So any damage you take goes directly to your strength. And then inventory slots, kind of a little brief note about that. The art in here is great, if a bit sparse. The character traits are really fun. This is a great, fun way to kind of punch out a character. That said, you're very kind of, they're D10 tables, so you're pretty likely to kind of get repeats over repeated use. I might go through and just make another set of tables with more options, just to have a little bit more zhuzh to go into some different players. Or if I had like a region, maybe make regional character traits tables, just to have a little more fun with some of the things. But all in all, rolling 8d10 to kind of make a flabby, tattooed character with curly hair, a sharp face, squeaky speech, frumpy clothes, who is cautious and aggressive, like, that's fun. That's just a lot of fun. The bonds are super wild. They have all kinds of different impacts on your character. So rolling these, you're maybe get an item. You might have an enemy. You might have like a promise from somebody. You can get some stuff that like can give you stuff. I don't know. Like they're all over the place. They're all very evocative. They're lots and lots of fun. Again, there's only 20 of them. So on a long enough timeline, you are going to exhaust this list and start ending up with repeats. It might be worth it while you're playing to start coming up with more bonds to introduce into your setting. If you wanted to run like a long, intense campaign of Cairn, you might find these to run out. Omens, kind of same story. They're pretty interesting opportunities to bring things into the world. I think actually this is probably the best opportunity for a DM to kind of make their own omens and just provide an omen like directly, maybe from the adventure or the campaign that you're going to run. Pretty cool stuff though. The marketplace is really straightforward. Everything's in GP, so you're using coin, gold coin, whatever. Armor is very much like it's an Into the Odd style armor game, so armor is just piled on, and when you take damage, the armor reduces the amount of damage. And then, your weapons are all going to have a die of damage. You've got hirelings, transport, upkeep, and recovery, and then just standard gear. They say, I think I've heard people describe Cairn as the kind of game where you find weird stuff and find interesting uses for it, and the equipment definitely shows that. Then we go into backgrounds. I'm not going to dig through all these backgrounds, but they are pretty evocative, if not a bit arcane. So, artifacts. You are an artisan of the arcane, a smith of subtle forces. In the crucible of your workshop, the laws that govern this world are warped to suit your needs. So you get some items here, and then what experiment went horribly wrong? What alchemical marvel is the product of your latest ingenuity? So this is an alchemist. But they didn't call it an alchemist, they called it an artifacts. Fine. Very cool. But we got to look it up. Some of us are going to have to look it up. So be prepared to do that. This book isn't going to hold your hand for a lot of that stuff. It will tell you what these guys are, but you might have to bring your own opinions about what that fantasy means for you. And I think it's healthy to do so. I think it wants you to do that. Barber Surgeon is fun. We had one of those in our party recently. Beast Handler. What creature is your specialty? What do creatures of the wild understand that your kind do not? So it kind of talks about the relationship. Bone Keepers, looks like a plague doctor to me. Cut Purse, I think we all know what that is. A Field Warden, I've played one of these before, it's pretty fun. A Fletchwind, you strike from afar, but that does not mean you are a coward. You are a musician, the song of your bowstring, not but a warning, singing the silent promise of a quick death. So I think if there is a thing I would say about these backgrounds is that they are 90% flavor in like 2 grams of sauce. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff here, but like, there's no fighters in this game. There's no wizards in this game. There's no thieves in this game. There are fungal foragers. There are green wise. There are half witches with paper legs. Like, there's weird stuff in this, which is great. This is exactly like when I say I want to play a role playing game. This is the kind of stuff where I'm like, oh man, yeah, I want to be whatever this guy is. You know, Hexenbane. This is great. So honestly, the majority of this book is these, which mimics, I think, in some ways, or mirrors in some ways, the Mythic Bastionland, Electric Bastionland kind of style, failed careers in Electric Bastionland and Knights in Mythic Bastionland, where you get like 20 different backgrounds and you can be one of those. You get March Guard, the Montbank, so you get a little gambler guy. The Outrider, I think I've also played one of these. And then you get the Prowler, it's a creepy dude. A Spectre in the Night. The Rill Runner, you sing the stories of rivers and lakes, your talents soothing friends and the elements alike. And the Scrivener is the final one, it's the Scribe. I think my partner played one of these in yesterday's game. And yeah, we had a great time. And then we get into section 3, the rules. So we're at page 61 by the time we get into the rules. The core rules are you roll saves. It's a d20 roll under system. So you are trying to roll under whatever your stat is. Now, I recently heard somebody ask the question, like, what's attractive about roll under? And I think the attraction is that the PCs always know what their target is. They're always trying to roll under whatever their stat is. So there's some advantages to that in that the DM does not need to keep or generate a difficulty number in their head. They don't need to worry about target numbers. They're kind of just there, like it's built in. What they do need to worry about is outcomes. So because this never changes, the results should always change. And I think this is pretty similar to how Mothership treats it as well. So as another roll under system, though it's percentage based. In these systems, like, oh, if I want to do something that would require a dex save, let's say I'm trying to I'm trying to crack a lock or something, and it requires a dex save because I'm trying to do it quietly and in a hurry, right? Like, maybe the maybe the outcome is that, like, in haste, if I fail, I still get through it, but maybe I make a bunch of noise, or maybe the lock becomes unusable. I have broken it, and so I can't actually lock the door after it's been done. Or you fail. Like, so I think that's where the expression of the outcomes should affect this, because you do not control this number. You have to control how the outcomes work. Healing and recovery. So it's basically like you drink a bit of water and that restores your lost hit protection. Bandages can stabilize characters that have taken critical damage. Critical damage, as soon as you take attribute loss, I think you take some critical damage if you fail a strength save, which means that you're kind of out of the combat, if I remember correctly. Let me double check here. Combat, critical damage. Damage that reduces characters' hit points below 0, subtracted from their strength by the amount of damage remaining. The target must then immediately make a strength save to avoid taking critical damage, using their new strength score. On a success, the target is still in the fight, albeit with a lower strength score, and must continue to make critical damage saves when incurring damage. Any PC that suffers critical damage cannot do anything but crawl weakly, grasping for life. If given aid, such as bandages, they will stabilize. If left untreated, they will die within the hour. NPCs and monsters that fail a critical damage save are considered dead per the Warden's discretion. Additionally, some enemies will have special abilities or effects that are triggered when their target fails a critical damage save. This rule right here and how this works makes this game hyper deadly. Which, if that's what you want to play, this is a good system for it. It's quick to make characters, relatively, and it is quick to lose characters. So that might be what you're looking for. I'm not necessarily looking for that when I'm running a game. Like, I think death is fine as an outcome. I don't think that it should be the frequent common outcome. I think, that's just as boring to me as, always winning. So I like things that produce more choices. Death kind of takes away all the choices in the room. It kind of ends things. That said, it's an interesting rule system. I think I'm still getting used to it, so I will know more soon. The deprivation and fatigue rules are great. The armor rules are really straightforward, but it does say they cannot have more than 3 armor, which is fine. This is very similar to how Troika's armor system works, but different. I think this is better, but just barely. Also, it's worth noting here that, I guess it's in combat. We'll get to combat. So reactions, I don't know why this is I guess it's just in the rules. One of the things that is weird about this game is that none of the rules appear in the Warden's Guide. The Warden's Guide is just tools for the Warden building the world. So all of the rules are technically player-facing, but, reactions are something that the Warden should roll, right? So it's a little bit weird that they're all kind of piled in here together. Morale, hirelings, and Die of Fate, which is this is a normal Oracle die. And then we go into combat. So rounds, actions, attacking, and damage. Attacking and damage is a little interesting in that, like other odd games, you roll damage die. You don't roll a to-hit roll. You just roll damage die. And the highest damage die in the round against the creature wins. So I actually screwed up the last time I ran this. I need to remember, the way that initiative works is, on the first round of combat, all the PCs make a dex save in order to act. Otherwise, the NPCs act first. And then on the next round, the PCs just go first. Which means that if they all attack one guy, they all roll and the highest goes. Also, unlike other games, you're going to want everybody to declare their actions first and then roll all together. Otherwise, the outcomes of the rolls will impact other people's decisions about what they're doing. You don't want that. It's not how the game is designed. Attack modifiers are done using impaired and enhanced, meaning an impaired attack does d4 damage and an enhanced attack does d12 damage. Blast quality attacks hit all enemies. So there's all kinds of, this is just the highest result. That's pretty much how it all works. Critical damage we already talked about. Attribute loss, you'll lose attribute points. If you run out of certain ones, they have different effects. But basically all of them take you out. When you die, you're dead. And then detachments, so this is larger groups of combatants, retreat, and ranged attacks are all defined there. If you get to exactly 0 hit protection, you roll the amount of damage you took on that attack is looked up, and that is the effect of your scar. Which is kind of how your character becomes better, is you collect scars. So there's no experience, there's no leveling up, there's just scars. Then we go into magic. Magic is cast from spellbooks, casting spells, scrolls, and relics. And then we go into procedures. So this is dungeon exploration procedures, dungeon events. And you've got some elements here. These are some actions you can take: searching, resting. There's panic. If your lights go out, you become panicked. If you're surrounded by enemies, you become panicked. Panicked characters have 0 hit protection. Does not act in the first round of combat, and all their attacks are impaired. Brutal game. Brutal game. If you're in a bad situation, it just kind of becomes worse. And then dungeon elements, it talks about lights, doors, and traps. Wilderness exploration works in watches, similar to Knave. You get points, so it's designed to have kind of point crawl stuff going on. How long travel takes is, down to that. You get some tables here for path type, path distance, and terrain difficulty. You get some weather tables based on the season and weather difficulty. And then you get some wilderness elements, so night, sleep, light, and light sources. The wilderness exploration cycle. So these are wilderness events. And then you get some wilderness actions: travel, explore, supply, and make camp. Then you get your downtime, which is milestones. This is... we didn't use this, we haven't used this yet. But if they complete milestones, I think things can happen. So like research is one of them, training is another, strengthening ties. And then it talks a bit about the setting of Vald. Literally, this is like 2 pages about Vald, and it goes on to the back page. And that is the whole book of Cairn, 2nd edition, Player's Guide. I have been trying to run enough Cairn to do this review, because I felt like I just hadn't used enough of the rules yet. I feel like maybe I don't understand this game very well, and I'm having a hard time. I don't want to bounce off of it. I like it. I think there's cool stuff in here. And I really, really like Mythic Bastionland, which I consider kind of a kissing cousin of this. And so, yeah, I'm continuing to try and explore it and have a good time with it. And when the game is over, everybody's like, "Oh, that was great. We had a great time." And I'm like, man, I feel like I screwed the pooch. So I'm going to figure that out still. Hopefully soon I'll be doing the Warden's Guide, which is tons of tools for making content for Cairn. And so hopefully that will be as enjoyable. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these videos, I hope you will hit the like button. Hit subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified. And if you want to see these a week early, you can go join my Patreon at patreon.com/watcherdm. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for playing. I'll see you in the next one.